Hey everybody, this is Jose here. We are a few seconds away from starting the session. I'd like to ask you for a quick confirmation about the sound. Please type a quick hello on the comments box. That would be how I would know that you hear my voice. And that way we are ready to start. So please go ahead and type something on the comment box so I know that you hear me. Wonderful, guys. Perfect. Yes, very good. So ready to get started here. A minute ago, Dirk was typing on the comments box that today is the day. It's an important day, and indeed, yeah, I believe so, because we've been working together for a few weeks, a few months, depending on when you started, and we've been putting together rules and many things in place. And obviously, questions take place as well, right? So today we're gonna be taking care of those questions and taking everything we do to the next level. Okay, guys? So a pleasure to be here during the weekend on Saturday, 11th of May, 2019, okay? So formal beginning of the session. My name is Jose Blasco. I'll be your guide today. How are you, my friends? Today we are getting together for sharpening purposes, special sharpening today, in the sense that first, we'll be talking about calibration, which is a question we get all the time, which is obvious. It's obvious that we get this question all the time because it's a critical component of the trading methodology and the AutoUFOs app. So we'll talk about that. And then I do have a collection of questions that you guys have been sending via email. So we'll be looking at those questions. And of course, I will be taking your questions live real time as well, as you guys type them on the comments box, and we'll be working on this together. So I plan for this session to run for anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that. It's okay if we make it a little shorter, it's okay if we make it a little longer, but certainly more or less in 1 hour time, we'll be taking a break and then just keep going until all the questions are answered, okay? So before we start, disclaimer, the following videos, clips, and demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradictive provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. Very good. So the session has been started officially. We are ready to begin. I got my TradeStation ready. Lisa was also asking about TradingView. So I also have the TradingView platform ready. I have everything ready, guys. Okay, so we're going to be talking about everything and beyond. Remember, every time we are executing trades together, etc., we use the AutoUFOs app. So I'm sure many questions will be related to the app and how to use it. But also, as I said in prior sessions, I am happy to take any question, of course, related to trading, and address any subject. Could be risk management, could be trading psychology, you name it. Okay, so we will talk about everything and beyond. Okay. Good, so let's do this. Since some of you send questions via email, I have some screenshots here ready to be addressed one at a time. So what I'll do is I'll keep switching back and forth to be fair to everybody. So I'll start with question number 1 that was sent via email, and then question number 2 would be your questions on the comments box. And then I'll go back to the email questions and then back to the comments box. And that way, we'll be taking care of those questions, okay? So have your questions ready for when I ask you, so you can type them on in the comment box. Okay, so let's begin today with the calibration conversation, which is a very key conversation, okay? We have run videos in the past at times where we have discussed calibration, but to be honest, normally those conversations about calibration that we did in the past were sections within videos. Maybe we did a 1 hour video on YouTube sometime in the past, and maybe within that 1 hour we had a 20 or 30-minute conversation about calibration, but it was somewhere in the middle of the video, and therefore some of you never got to see it. Okay, so today what I would like to do is to start from scratch, like I never talked about calibration before, and talk about the different ways to approach calibration, why there is a calibration as well, how to use it, how to make sure that whatever settings you use in your calibration are going to be the best for you. Okay, so let's begin about calibration. Let's begin with this subject, and I'm going to start with TradeStation first. Okay, I'll switch in a minute to TradingView as well and talk about calibration in TradingView. So once you have the app in TradeStation, no matter the time frame, in this case I got a daily time frame of Tesla, but it could be anything else. It could be the euro. It doesn't need to be a daily time frame. Maybe you're using the 10-minute time frame. So, once you have a specific market setup, a specific time frame that you normally use in your trading methodology, this is when it's the right time to start doing calibration, right? So what you don't want to do is to calibrate the app using the monthly time frame of gold, where you never trade gold and you never use the monthly time frame. That would make no sense. So you want to adjust calibration, experience with calibration until you get to the calibration figures you want to use for yourself. You want to do that with the markets that you normally trade, with the key time frames that you normally trade. That would be the way to do calibration, right? And the way to do it would be to first, you would double click on the UFO band, just to get access to the input section of the app. Okay, you can get to the input section of the app by either double clicking on the edge of any of the UFO bands, or let me escape and cancel this window. You can also right click, format analysis technique, identify the app, and then click format. You can also do that. You end up in the same place, but there's more steps. So the way I like to do it, okay, and I recommend you to do the same, is simply on the chart, pick any UFO, double click on the edge. It will ask you, this drawing object was added by analysis technique. Do you want to format, yes or no? You click yes, and automatically it brings you into the format indicator menu, and you pick the tab inputs, okay? In that tab inputs, that's where you can see the calibration. Okay, the calibration is right there. It's the first one on the top, which by default, by the way, it comes with 0.5. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what is that number. Okay, what is that number? Because in the end, what is the app doing? Well, the app is looking for unfilled orders. But of course, let's talk about this a little more in detail, right? Because can we ever know with 100% certainty that in some place on a chart there are unfilled orders, and we know exactly the quantity of unfilled orders to buy and exactly the quantity of unfilled orders to sell? Well, yeah, the answer is absolutely not, right? We will need a crystal ball and a special power to know that, and we don't. So what the app is doing is basically looking for traces of those unfilled orders, and there are certain parameters that the algo runs behind the scenes where you basically give the app a little more sensitivity, a little less sensitivity, basically to identify pile of orders that are of a greater size or of a lesser size based on the assumption of the algo. And these will bring you certain probability output, right? So if you make the app super sensitive, somehow anything that may look like you may have unfilled orders, the app will call it unfilled orders. If you were to make the app very not sensitive at all, let me rephrase that. If you were to make the app not sensitive at all, then it would take a very intense pile of unfilled orders for the app to identify it. And this probably would end up giving you better results, but also probably less trades, right? So this calibration setting, basically, maybe instead of calibration, another way to call it would be sensitivity, okay? But beyond sensitivity, okay, there is a little bit of another impact, or I should say a consequence of changing that figure. If you think about what I just said before, where making the app more sensitive with identify more pile of orders in the chart, and making the app less sensitive with have the app identify less pile of orders and therefore less trades. Well, this has another consequence, which has to do with nothing with the algo. In this case, it has to do with you as a person who trades, you as a trader. And it has a direct consequence because not all of us are the same when it comes to our trading psychology. Some of us may be more in the aggressive side of trading, or more in the conservative side of trading, or maybe somewhere in between. And what I'm trying to say is that some of you may be very happy taking one trade a day and you're done, where some of you are not going to be happy until you have executed 20 trades per day. Maybe I am exaggerating a little bit here, but again, some of you are eager to execute many trades. Some of you don't want that. Some of you just want to take very few trades, very quiet, very relaxed, and there is no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong, because this also depends on the size of the account. A trader with a small account taking many trades will produce significant results, but also a trader with a larger account taking few trades only would produce the same amount of profits or maybe even more, even though that person executed less trades. Why? Because the size of the account was greater, isn't it? So again, there is no right or wrong, but there will be a decision to be taken by you as a trader, which is how active or passive I want to be, knowing that I could adjust the amount of trading that I want to do by varying that calibration figure. Okay? Because as I said before, let me link it with what I said before. If you make the app more sensitive, it's going to find more piles of unfilled orders, and therefore it will help you to trade more often. Where if you make the app less sensitive, then the app will be more picky and will only draw green and red UFOs in less cases, because the app is going to be more picky. It's going to be less sensitive, and therefore you will end up executing less often, right? So two things. Let me summarize. Calibration impacts what the algo is doing behind the scenes, and therefore the sensitivity of the app. But the most important part really is not what the app does behind the scenes. The most important part is the consequence of changing that figure, which is that it makes you more active or less active as a trader, and it will also have an impact in probabilities, because like everything in life, this applies to absolutely everything, including trading, quality and quantity are two things that normally don't come together. Right? If you were to find a trading methodology that gives you many trades, typically the probability of those trades will be low. If you were to find a trading methodology that gives you that gives you a great level of probability, well, typically the quantity of trades will be low, right? So it's the law of the quality and the quantity. If you have quality, you have less quantity. If you have quantity, you have less quality. Is that making sense? So all of these, somehow you will adjust it as a trader with the calibration settings, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to do it and go over examples and so on. And again, basically the impact is that you end up having the app behave a little more like you would like to behave yourself once you have understood who are you as a trader. If you are a brand new trader that started learning how to trade, let's say a few weeks ago, you are still in the process of discovery of understanding who are you as a trader. If you are a trader who has traded for a little longer, you understand who you are, and you know if you want to make yourself a little more active, a little less active, okay? And you're gonna be able to achieve all those goals with the calibration setting, okay? So that's why, in a nutshell, that's why we have a setting for calibration, okay? Because somehow you are adjusting the app to who you are as a trader, okay? That's the bottom line, okay? Now, the setting can be adjusted all the way to 0 and all the way to 1. So basically, you go from 0 to 1, and you can use decimal places. So you can do 0.555222. You could do that if you want to, okay? Which probably doesn't make sense, okay? We don't need to be that precise with the decimal places, but you could. So you could go, as long as you keep the figures between 0 and 1, you could type anything you want. By default, the app comes with 0.5 because 0.5 happens to be right in the middle between 0 and 1. That's why it comes with 0.5, which, by the way, it's a great setting. Why am I saying it's a great setting? Well, because based on 0.5, you can see you have a probability, a UFO performance stat, which I need to also refresh what that number means. For now, let's call it success, even though it's more complex than that. I will explain it in a minute. But, if you got a success of 65%, I guess we agree that 0.5 is certainly not a bad beginning. Is that making sense? But again, it doesn't need to be 0.5. It could be anything else, okay? So, now, what happens if you take that 0.5 number and I see you guys are typing a few questions. I'm coming to you right now, okay, guys? Let me kind of give you the big picture message, if you wish, the whole explanation about calibration, and then I'll dive deeper into your questions. That way, I make sure that we speak the same language as I take the questions, okay? So what will happen if you were to bring this figure down to, let's say, 0.3? Okay, it's a 0.3 or even 0.2. So what would happen if you lower it down? Okay, well, typically, and again, every chart is different and every time frame is different, so it's not always exactly the way I am about to say, but almost always. And what's going to happen is that when you lower that figure, what's going to happen is that the amount of UFOs that you find on the screen, okay, will increase. Okay, the lower the number, you get more UFOs. Okay? Remember, you make the app more sensitive, so the app will tend to detect more things in the market that look like unfilled orders, and the app, because it's more sensitive, it will go ahead and call it unfilled orders, and therefore draw more UFOs on the screen. Okay, now this will have an impact. Remember the quality and the quantity. Typically, when you lower the number from 0.5 to, let's say, 0.2, that 65 will become a lesser value. It's not always the case, and I will explain in a minute why. But it's almost always the case. So let me click OK and let's see what happens. So when you click OK, here we go. Well, interesting. So we got 58. The number went down. Okay. Now, in the other hand, we are left with one UFO only, which, if you think about what I just said, I was expecting more UFOs. But this time, in this case, in that very specific example, I ended up with less. Okay. Let me explain why in a minute. Just bear with me. Okay. What if I was to raise that figure? For example, what if I make it 0.7? Okay. If I make it 0.7, typically what would happen is that I would have less UFOs on the screen. Okay. Less UFOs on the screen. And that number 58, that earlier was 65, typically that number would now go above 65. Here we go. It went to 70. Okay. Again, it's the law of the quality and the quantity. If you have less, it's less quantity, so the quality is more. If you have more, so you have more UFOs, but the quality is less. The probability was 58 instead of 70. Okay, so this is, as a rule of thumb, this is what you should expect when you move up or down out of the starting point being 0.5. Okay. Now, earlier I said, typically when you lower the figure, you get more UFOs, okay? And funnily enough, in this first example for the day, actually I got less. So why is that? Well, I need to pause here, okay? And I need to explain something additional for you to understand why. Because all these things are subtle, and I want to give you a little bit of insight so you understand the mechanics of what's happening behind the scenes, so that somehow it builds a little confidence, because as we know, and we discussed that a million times in the past, as a professional trader, you need to be confident when you execute, because you will not be able to execute unless you're confident. And as adult people, it's not the same for kids. For kids, you just tell them do that and they do it, well, unless they are supposed to. But for adults, we need to understand why. Okay, if we don't understand the why, it's very difficult to build confidence. So I want to explain to you why I said what I said before, and why, funnily enough, it didn't happen the way I said it would. Okay, so let's talk about it. So another setting that we have is hide heat UFOs. Hide heat UFOs is another setting that is directly related with how picky are you. Let me do this. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Let's pretend I never talked about calibration. So I'm back to 0.5, right? So let's pretend I never talked about anything about calibration. And let's say I'm going to go ahead and leave hide heat UFOs as true. In other words, I want to hide the UFOs that have been hit already. Why would I want to hide those UFOs? Well, because think about it. If I got unfilled orders there, and that's why I have a UFO, and that market was to come, hit the UFO, and then price moves away, right? Well, that's exactly what we're expecting, but think about the definition of unfilled orders. Okay, if I'm just gonna make this up, but let's pretend you got a thousand lots waiting to get filled here on the euro. Well, the moment price came and hit the UFO, and many of those 1,000 lots got filled and pushed the price back up, well, what's the consequence of that? Well, the consequence of that is that now you don't have 1,000 lots remaining. Maybe you have 150 lots remaining because 850 lots got filled. So you have less unfilled orders and therefore less probability, right? So if I leave it as true, I'm telling the app, hide what is low probability. And therefore, when I click OK, this is the initial picture we had before, isn't it? When I had 0.5, I can see all those UFOs. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, and 4 green UFOs and 1 and 2 red UFOs. But what if I was to go back, and again, forget about calibration for a minute, what if I was to go back to hide hid UFOs and I was to type false? Well, if I was to type false, okay, now the app is gonna show me everything no matter if it has been hit or not. In other words, now I am telling the app, show me everything no matter the probability, right? And when I do that, this is gonna bring many more UFOs on the screen, as you can see. Now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so many UFOs. Now I know many are of a low probability. Actually, I'm sure that all of you have read the user guide, and if you haven't, please do so. And you know that the UFOs that are that light, okay, represent extremely low probability. The UFOs that are a little darker represent a little more probability, and the ones that are the darkest are the ones that represent the greatest probability, right? So if I had that setting on, where I selected hide hid UFO and I had it as true, right? All those UFOs that represent unfilled orders that are low probability, all those UFOs go away, and basically I am left with the market information, which is the most critical, the most important, the most useful market information for me to plan a trade. Okay. Now going back to calibration, okay, and again, cannot wait to take a look at your questions and give you answers, guys. I'm coming, guys. Going back to calibration, earlier I said, okay, if I drop from 0.5 to 0.2, we are gonna see less UFOs. And funnily enough, when I did that and I click OK, we were left with 1, which is the opposite of what I said. And why is that? Well, the reason why is because in this particular case, okay, which again, every chart, every time frame is different, it seems that the majority of the UFOs identified, if you use 0.2, which again, they are more, it seems that the majority were hit, okay? And therefore, if I was to add false, okay, now I end up with so many of those UFOs, okay? But again, if you were to select the setting as true, you don't see them because you are actually asking the app to hide what is low probability. So it's just a coincidence, okay, that almost everything was hit. Which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. Normally it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes it does, right? And so remember, the concept is when you use a low calibration setting, normally you end up with more actionable trades. So you have more UFOs, so you can trade more often. In this case today with the euro, in the 10-minute time frame, it seems that many of those trades were actually executed, or many of those orders were actually filled. Therefore, with the setting set as high hit UFO, using that setting as true, you know, we don't get to see the UFOs, but they are there. They are behind the scenes. They happen to be low probability because they have been hit. Okay, but this is what you need to keep in mind. When the calibration setting is of a lesser value, you end up with more UFOs, and therefore you could execute more trades. But because you have more UFOs and you execute more trades, there is a normal consequence, which is the quality of those trades is less. In this case, 58% instead of 65 or 70. Okay, if you execute 0.7, okay, I was just going above 0.5 and below 0.5. Normally now, what you do is that you get a greater probability. Okay, you get a greater probability, but you know, the price to pay for that is that you normally have less UFOs, and therefore it means that you trade less often. Okay. So I'm going to pause here. I have more to discuss and more to add, but I'm going to pause here. If you have any question, please type it. I'm going to take a look at your questions, and I'll continue because I have more to share, because this is, again, a very sensitive conversation. Okay, so let me take a look. Bruce, I see that you have a blurry screen on your end. That means that you need to set up your YouTube with HD, high resolution. So please move your mouse down. You will find a, okay, I think that I don't need to explain it because I believe that Maka already helped you. Thank you so much, Maka. Let me see. Lisa, so higher number is more conservative. Yes. And understanding by conservative that you will have a higher probability per trade, but you will have less trades to be executed. Okay? The answer to that is yes. Moshi, I have my chart open to the euro as shown on the screen with the same calibration setting, but I do not have the UFOs. What am I doing wrong? Well, if you do not have the UFOs, I guess it's because you have not activated the indicator. Okay, so you will need to go ahead, Moshi, and right click Insert Analysis Technique. Okay, Insert Analysis Technique, and look for in your Indicators tab. Okay, look for AutoUFO in that list and activate it from that list. Okay, so you need to have it, which also, by the way, that would imply that you are subscribed to the app to be able to have it in that list. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, Moshi, and maybe I am confused because we have many users, but I believe you are using the UFOs on TradingView, isn't it, Moshi? If I'm wrong, please let me know because maybe I am confused. Let me see. Yeah, Dirk was helping you on that one as well. Very good. Lisa, okay, very good. So you have a very good question here. Are higher probability zones typically larger? Okay. I would like to ask you to keep that question for just a few minutes later, and please copy paste it on the comments box in a few minutes. Okay, well, the moment I finish calibration, please, Lisa, go ahead and give me that question again, because I want to explain something extra, something additional, and then I'll be able to answer that question properly, okay? I'm getting there. So if you already discussed, please let me know. The calibration in TradingView. I haven't yet, Todd Parker. I started with TradeStation, and then I will move into TradingView. So bear with me, please. The concepts are the same, okay? It doesn't matter. Everything I have explained up to this point is the same concept. Okay. Now, with TradingView, the process of calibration will be slightly different, as you will see. Okay. So I will explain that in a minute. Harley, how to show the percentage in TradingView? Again, I'm going to TradingView in just a few minutes. I am in TradingView. Very good, Moshi. I got it. Okay. So I'll be there in a minute with TradingView. Todd Parker, also at some point in your journey together with you will cover set and forget trading. Yes, absolutely. We will do that too. Yes. Okay, perfect. So we are in sync, guys. So we're in sync. So let me keep going. Okay, let me keep going because again, I want to add a little more. So what we said up to this point, I just want to rephrase it because it's critical, even though I believe that everybody's following. That what we said is that by default, the app is coming with 0.5, and then if you make this number to be of a lesser value, you basically end up with more UFOs that may or may not be seen on the screen because they may have been hit or they may not have been hit, but the app will identify more UFOs. So because you identify more UFOs, you end up with more trades, but also lesser quality. Okay? Where if you were to increase the value above 0.5, then you end up with less UFOs, we may or may not have been hit, and normally that would give you less UFOs and therefore less trades, but the beauty of this is that you would end up with a little bit of a higher probability, okay? That's what we have set up to this point, okay? Now, the next question is, so what number should I use, right? What number should I use? Well, to be honest, any number works. I mean, I have been using 0.5 all the time in all the sessions that we have done. and it's working well. Is that making sense? You make money with 0.5. Okay, so it's working well as long as you follow your rules, you are disciplined, you have other rules in your trading, such as identifying the trend or setting your targets, or everything else that has to do with trading. Okay, so 0.5 is working well, but again, can we make this a little better, right? What number should you use? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a little twist to how to do calibration, and show you how I do it for myself, and show you actually two different applications of the calibration, and then of course you decide how you want to do it for yourself, because in the end, I just said it, any calibration setting will have pros and cons in the form of probability and quantity of trades, and you need to decide what you want to do for yourself. But I want to show you a little extra, as I said, I call it a little twist to this, okay? And the first thing I want you to understand as well is that these calibration settings is a measure. Let me rephrase that. To be able to let me rephrase that. I want to say so many things at the same time, guys. This is such a critical subject, and I really want to make sure everybody gets it. So I'm just a little thinking many things at the same time. Let me start. So what's happening here? You are deciding on a key value that once you have decided on that key value, which is the calibration setting, anywhere between 0 to 1, you will keep that number for the rest of your life, okay? Because that number represents who you are as a trader. It's not about adjusting the app. It's about adjusting how you want to use the app. Is that making sense? So once you adjust that number, you will leave it like that forever. So that's why it's so critical, okay? And that's why I want to make sure everybody understands. So how can you adjust that number if you use TradeStation? Because later I will look at TradingView as well, okay? So how would you do that? Well, the first thing that you want to do to be able to understand the outcome of changing that value, the first thing that you want to do is to have the second setting show UFO stats. You want it to be true, because if you have it as false, then the app does not show you the probability, and therefore you would be a little, let's call it blind, in the sense that you would not know what to expect from the app, right? You will be, okay, great. So, it's like if you ever went to take a trading class, somewhere, or you ever read a trading book somewhere, or, you went to one of those hotel seminars and they told you how to do something in trading, and, so you're like, okay, so I learned this. Now, how often am I going to profit? No idea. So, how can you build confidence in your trading if you don't have some sort of a measurement that helps you to understand what to expect from your trades? Right? Remember, who clicks the button? We, human beings. So you need to have tools when you trade that give you some sort of a measurement, or some sort of a way, some sort of a process where before you begin trading with real capital, you know what to expect from your method. Because if you didn't know and you just trust that instructor just because the guy happens to teach very well, well, then it's a problem. There is too much faith in the process, and what I want to help you do is to move away from faith and focus on facts. Is that making sense? So the first thing that you want to do is double click on the app, okay, and activate the UFO stats as true. So now you're gonna get a number, which I need to explain the meaning. And by the way, if I move into TradingView, which I'll get deeper into TradingView in a minute, but if you move into TradingView and you have the app, okay, when you look at the settings of the app in TradingView, you have calibration and you have hide hit UFOs, okay? You don't have the possibility in TradingView to see that probability number, that UFO performance stats, which is how it's technically called. You don't have that capability with TradingView, which is not a problem, as you will see. I'll come back to TradingView in a minute, okay? But if you are doing this with TradeStation, you would want, one more time, to turn on that show UFO stats as true, so then you would have a number showing on the screen, okay? Now, first thing is to understand what that number represents. Second thing will be how to use that number to calibrate the app and decide on the number that you want to use, okay? So we're gonna do those two things. Okay, so first thing, what does the number represent? Well, what the number represents is how often, every time a UFO has been created on the chart, how often price gets into that UFO, bounces out of that UFO either up or down, and reaches the next rival UFO. In other words, okay, if we had the chart the way it shows at the moment, how often price drops to the green and bounces back up to the red, or how often prices come to the red and then bounces back down and reaches the opposing green, right? So this is a raw calculation, a raw statistic, ignoring trend, ignoring things such as where is the market in the larger time frames, ignoring things such as what about the fundamentals that day, or did they report a news that day, or ignoring everything, just looking at raw stats. How often price comes to a red UFO and bounces and reaches a green, or how often the price comes to a green UFO and bounces and reaches the rival red UFO? That's the question. And the answer is 65%. Now, 65% in this case of what? Well, 65% of, let me double click, 1,597 bars, which is the amount of bars I have loaded on my chart at this moment in time as we speak. You could load anything you want. You could load 10 years of data if you want. You could load 10 days of data. You could load anything you want. So whatever amount of data you have loaded on your chart, what TradeStation calls the range, whatever amount of data you have loaded on the chart, the statistics will be applied to that, right? So again, this is very, very useful. More than for calibration purposes, it's very, very useful the day you start trading a market you never traded before. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have a methodology, you've been trading the euro, and you know that your stats with the euro is 65, but you have never traded the pound, and you wonder, you know what, should I start trading the pound? Well, what do? You load the pound, and now you look at the stats once it's loaded. Okay, the pound or crude oil or the NASDAQ or Facebook or you name it, whatever stock you choose, and it's taking a little bit of time here. Okay, Mr. Great British Pound, please join us. I guess he's gonna be here just in a second. Okay, it's really taking a long time. Let me see my download scheduler. I mean, today should be a very easy day. The market is closed, so yeah, I got nothing in the download scheduler. That's pretty funny. So let me switch to daily and back to 10 minutes. Okay. I'm not sure why it's not loading. Not really sure why. Let me do it one more time. I'll change to 60 to see what happens. Okay. We are in the middle of a very important conversation for this to happen, guys. Okay, so let me try to load something else. For example, I'll load the Euro Japanese Yen, for example, to see if that one does load. Sometimes as well what happens is that TradeStation does maintenance over the weekends. And if their servers are doing maintenance, maybe some data is not available. Let me load. Okay. Okay, so something's going on. TradeStation is not loading us. So you know what? I hate to do this, but I'm just gonna do it. Okay, I'm just gonna close TradeStation and restart. And that way we avoid problems. In the meantime, with our restart, I'll be taking your questions, and that should be quick, guys. Okay, so sorry for that, but I just want you to see it, because again, we are having a critical conversation. As I said, not the best timing to have an interruption in the middle, but at the same time, I want to make sure you see what I was going to show, because again, as I said, it's critical. Okay, so 1 sec. I am re-logging in, okay? So in the meantime, so your questions, okay? What do we have here? Let me see. Lisa says, so that probability is based on the UFOs that were created and hit to the left. Yes, yes, correct. The ones that you don't see anymore because orders got filled, they were hit, or even beyond being hit, you know, they were hit so many times that price went through, right? But whatever is historical, right? Whatever truly happened in this chart, whenever price came back to that UFO, the question is, did it bounce, yes or no? And the second question is, when it bounced, did it reach the opposing UFO or it didn't, right? So every time those two answers are yes, yes it bounced, and yes it reached the next UFO, so then you would have a tick on the probabilities. And whenever it's not the case, then the probabilities would not count, right? So based on what we just had earlier on the euro, we had a 65% probability of this working well. So I'm reloading the euro here. Oh, this is very interesting. Just to use one word, is absolutely not interesting. It seems that they are doing some maintenance in the forex servers, I would say, because it's not loading forex information on my computer screen. So let me see if I can use futures to do it, and we'll restart with futures. Yeah, so, okay, well, wrong timing for this. Let me see. What if I load a stock? I believe that, are you guys, anyone out there using TradeStation? Can you let me know if it's loading charts for you correctly, if you change time frame to an intraday time frame? Because it gives me the impression when I've seen that happen before, normally it's because they're doing some sort of maintenance in TradeStation servers because the daily works, but not the intraday. And when I've seen that before, it's because of that reason. So if it's, happening on your side as well, then not loading anything on your side either. Okay. So then it's probably a little bit of maintenance that is happening over the weekend. Hopefully, TradeStation will finish their maintenance process in just a few minutes. I'll be able to complete that conversation. So maybe I'll use TradingView to complete the conversation and then go back to TradeStation. Okay. So guys, let's then talk about TradingView. Okay, and then I'll go back to TradeStation. So let me reset, okay, because this obviously is a little confusing, and this is critical enough for, I would not like, anyone to be confused. So what are we doing? We are talking about calibration, okay? We said calibration is basically you giving or removing sensitivity to the app. The consequence is ending up with more UFOs or less UFOs, and therefore the consequence is more trades or less trades, and therefore higher probability or lesser probability because quality and quantity does not come together. Okay, this is kind of the summary of everything we covered. Now the question is, what number should you use for yourself? The number that comes by default is 0.5. Okay, should you use more? Should you use less? Well, you now know the consequence of more or less, but still, for you to be a proper trader, for you to be a trader who executes professionally, you need to have something that cannot be taught. That one thing that cannot be taught is called confidence. Confidence cannot be taught. Confidence can only be acquired through practice. Okay, practice, not only practice, but a very specific type of practice that leads to develop that confidence. Okay, and so what type of practice can you do? Well, with TradeStation, we would look at those statistics, okay? We would look at those statistics, okay? Which in this case is 50% with the daily time frame of Facebook, okay? Okay, 57% with the euro, right? Let me try one more time the 10 minutes to see if it works. Okay, not working yet. So in TradingView, there is no access to statistics. In TradeStation, okay, in TradeStation, you could double click on the UFOs and you could activate show UFO stats and make it true, okay? And there are technical reasons why with TradingView, this is actually not possible. Okay, so, but it's not a problem, because the real reason to do calibration is to adjust the app so the app behaves in a way that is compatible with your trading personality, which is to be more conservative or less conservative. And also to build confidence, which is to know the outcome of your methodology and therefore be confident when you execute. And how do we do this with TradingView? Well, with TradingView, we do this with the market replay functionality. Okay, if you take a look at the user guide of TradingView, okay, let me bring it up. Compared to the user guide of TradeStation. Okay, so let me just give me 1 second. I need to open a PDF file. So let's first open the one for TradingView. Here we go. So this is the user guide of TradingView. Okay, so if you go down until you look at the calibration, we are talking about right here, how to calibrate this app. Okay, and what is it telling you to do? It's telling you to use the market replay. Okay, the market replay, where you would basically apply your methodology, go back in time to where the red line is, which you decide where you want the red line to be. Okay, and then basically you click play. Okay, you click play. Okay, which is right there, and you get to see what happens, and you get to make notes for yourself in a spreadsheet or a piece of paper, depending on how techie you want to be. And basically you get to end up the outcome of your methodology and your adjustments on how often you find the trades and so on. And that is a fantastic, amazingly amazing practice. It does take some time, but it's amazing in the sense that you get to know exactly how your methodology behaves. It's like, you know exactly the personality of your kids because you have seen them grow. This is the same story here, right? You get to understand your methodology very well. So for example, let's say you have a methodology where maybe you are looking at, maybe you are looking, for example, you know what we do in the get-togethers, right? So maybe you have two charts, maybe the below chart, let's move to the euro, for example. Let's say we are doing Forex. Okay, and so the below chart, I will not need the AutoUFOs. The below chart, I will want this to be a 4-hour time frame, and for the below chart, I will want to use moving average, exponential, and I want it to be 9, and I want it to be purple. Okay, I want it to be purple, and I want it to be a little thicker. So I'll do all of this, right? And once you have done all of this, you know, you have that 4-hour time frame with the moving average below. And now on the top, what do you have? You know, just by doing the methodology that we do in the get-togethers, you would use the 21-minute time frame for the euro. Okay, so you have the euro above and the euro below, right? And now on the one on top, you have the 21-minute time frame and you have the UFOs. Okay, and what do you want to do? Where when the price of that currency in this case comes to where the moving average is, which is 112.25, and you also happen to have a UFO, okay, which is lining up with when 112.25, okay, so what do you do when it comes here? You buy, okay, you buy expecting this to go up. Okay, why? Because the trend is up and it's gonna bounce out of the average, because the average may imply on-field orders that may be added, while the UFO above implies on-field orders already available in the market, right? That's the methodology that you know, I'm using all the time, isn't it? In the get-together sessions. So let's say you want to calibrate this methodology. And you want to get to understand better the outcome and therefore build your confidence, because it comes together. Remember, calibration, you don't want to think about calibration like you are calibrating the app. I mean, you are calibrating the app, but you are calibrating the app in a way for the app to match you. So it's all about you, it's not about the app. So how often do you want to trade? How picky do you want to be? Do you want more trades of a less quality? Do you want less trades of a more quality? Is that making sense? So let's say you are doing this, right? So what would you do? So here's what, this is how you would calibrate in TradingView. So you would get a vertical line. I'm just gonna show you how I do it, for myself, how I like to do it. And you would just pick any place in the past, okay? And you can do this as far on the left you want, just to not to go too far. I'm just gonna start here, for example, okay? Here I'm just right below the average, right? So I'm just gonna have this vertical line, and the beauty with TradingView is that now if I move to the left, let me click. Okay, so it's loading data. Okay, and if I move to the left, we're gonna see the vertical line. I mean, that was 24. Oh yeah, I went too far. 24 of April. I went too far. Okay, so this is 24 of April, okay? So this is where we are, okay? So what would you do? Okay, 24 of April, okay, here in the bottom you can see 24 of April, 1 p.m., okay? So 24 of April on the top, 1 p.m. is more or less here, okay? So what would you do? You would now come to the market replay, okay? Look for 24 of April around 1 p.m. and you would just click there. The moment you click there, you have rewinded the chart on the top to that date of April 24, 1 p.m. And what do you want to do at that time? Well, at that time, you would love to short at whatever value the average is, as long as you have a UFO. And what is the value? The value is 112.21. Okay? So do you have any UFO at this price? Well, unfortunately, you don't. On that date, the UFO was 42, not 26. Okay, so what do? Okay, you click now on the top, right there, you have the play button. So I'm just gonna click play, okay, play, to see if any red UFO was to form around that price. Okay, and now I have a red UFO at that price, and price is coming in. Okay, and this is 112.12. Okay, and if I was to look at the exact time, oh, sorry for that, I didn't want to click play. If you were to look at the exact time at this candle, that was 14:06. Okay, which basically is the next candle. Okay, so the next candle has a moving average located at 112.22. Right? 112.22, okay? And this UFO is located at 112.12, okay? So yeah, it's almost where you want it to be, but it's not exactly where you want it to be. So you would have no trade, okay? You would have no trade if you were to apply the methodology that we use in the get-together sessions, okay? So you will click play, okay? You saw how price went above, right? Because it was not lining up. Now a new UFO form. So what do? You would move into that particular UFO. That is what time? This is now 7:21. So 7:21 is that candle. So at that candle, the UFO would be 112.09. And that UFO is 112.10. Okay? So that probably qualifies very well as a good entry, because as the price goes back up a little bit, the moving average will go back up a little bit, and instead of 9, it may be 10, isn't it? As we do in the get-together sessions. So why would you do? Okay, now you would start making a note for yourself where if that euro was to come to the red UFO, you would now plan the trade and see if you reach the opposing UFO. So now it just came into the UFO. Okay, so this candle was the entry, isn't it? So you would mark that you are in, okay? And now from there, here we go. It went down to the next UFO, etc., etc. And you would just spend a little bit of time, going over this process, collecting samples on how you apply your methodology, with the market replay, okay, that would allow you greatly, as I said, just like you know your kids, if you have kids, you would get to understand the ins and outs of your methodology without having to put money at risk, not even paper money at risk. Is that making sense? You would get to understand the methodology and most importantly as well yourself. So let's say if by doing this, you conclude, hey, you know what, I'm having too many trades. So what would you do? You would come back to the top and you would say, okay, so instead of 0.5, I want a calibration setting. Let's make it 0.6. That will give me less trades. Or you say, you know what? I'm having too little amount of trades. I want to trade a little more often. So maybe you would go for 0.4. And you would redo the exercise. And you would end up with a different outcome, which I already told you the outcome. You would get more trades, where less with profit, but you would get more. And you would be able to compare those results, and you would basically end up understanding very well your UFOs, understanding very well your methodology, understanding very well yourself. Okay, and now you would be ready to begin executing with whatever new parameters you have selected. Okay, so with TradingView, the process of calibration implies the use of market replay, and everything in life got pros and cons. The downside is that it takes time. Okay, it's a little tedious. I do need to acknowledge that. Okay, but at the same time, my friends, if you are serious about trading, and I understand you are, okay, you will not be here on Saturday if you were not serious about trading. If you are serious about trading, I believe you all understand that learning how to trade is a process that takes some time. Okay, if someone ever told you that learning how to trade is something you can learn in 2 hours or in 5 days, that was not a realistic message. Okay, so the beauty of doing the market replay exercise is that you really shortcut the amount of time needed to understand what you're doing. You get to understand your methodology. You get to decide better about your calibration settings that make you more active or less active, and you understand if this matches your personality. And now you are in a position where utilizing real capital to do your trades is going to be something much more prudent and efficient, instead of let's go ahead and trade head and shoulders just because I read that there is something called head and shoulders in a book and I don't know what to expect, but let's try and see what happens, which is what most people do. I'm not saying it's you guys, but I've seen it so many times that someone get a piece of information from the internet, from a book or whatever, and let's see what happens. Let's try and see what happens. And this is the last thing you want to do. Is that making sense? So you need to have experienced with your methodology to get certain level of confidence, so you know what to expect. Okay, so that is how you would do it with TradingView. Now I want to go back to TradeStation. Let's see if I can load the 10-minute time frame. Let me check out your questions as well while I'm waiting for this to load. Lisa, you were asking about the stability for TradeStation with the bars back. So I'm just going to ask you the same thing I asked you before, if you don't mind, Lisa. I feel bad to ask you twice the same, but if you don't mind, that's a very good question, but I would prefer to answer that later. If you don't mind to just copy paste it on the comments box just a little later when I'm done with calibration, and then I'll talk about stability with TradeStation and all of that. I understand. It's a tricky one. Okay, it's a tricky one, so I wanna explain that properly. Dirk, same here. Currency are not loading. Dhide, I'm not getting live data for the ES in TradeStation either. Again, they are doing maintenance. It's something that happens over the weekend, guys. Does it matter the color shade of the UFO? Yes. The color shade has a representation that has to do with probability. And again, this goes back to who are you as a trader. So in TradeStation, and you can see that on the user guide as well. Okay. By the way, I never showed you the user guide of TradeStation. So on TradeStation, to do the calibration, let me load it. One sec. Getting there. Okay, so this is an extended conversation about calibration, guys. Okay, we needed to do this. So this is the TradeStation user guide. Okay, so on TradeStation, to do the calibration, you need to come in here. Here we go. How to calibrate the app. Okay, this is where it is in TradeStation. How to calibrate the app. And in TradeStation, the calibration of the app has you performing the calibration process, has you use the UFO stats. Again, I told you that it's a technology restriction with TradingView. we cannot have those stats on the screen in the form of text like it shows on TradeStation. Okay, so it's okay. We do the market replay. It takes a little more time, but to be honest, it's priceless to do market replay with your methodology. Okay, so sometimes, shortcuts are not a good idea. In this case, I'm a real fan of market replay, guys. In TradeStation, I need to talk about market replay. This is one of the questions that you guys also send in an email, so I'll show you later a little more about what's possible with TradeStation when it comes to market replay. Okay, but you also have the UFO stats. So to do calibration with TradeStation, you would use the show UFO stats. That's how you would do it. Okay, so I will show you in a minute how you do it. Okay, now the question was the colors. Okay, very good. So the colors, when you look at the TradeStation user guide, it tells you, okay, it's kind of, TradeStation and TradingView in this case is the opposite. So on TradeStation, okay, on TradeStation, guys, it says darker and lighter UFOs. Okay, it says the darker the color, the greater the potential for a larger amount of unfilled orders. In other words, the darker the color, you may have an extra amount of odds in your favor. Okay? So if you were to be super conservative, you would only trade the dark UFOs and you would ignore the light UFOs. Okay? You would only trade the dark UFOs, in this case dark green, and you would ignore the light green UFOs. That is if you are super conservative. I personally am not. You have seen me in the get-together sessions, okay, that as long as, let me load the workspace. Okay, for example, S&P. Let me see if we get the data this time with the S&P. Some of you have said it was not loading, so maybe we won't. Okay, so it's not. Okay, so anyway, I'll say it. I'll use TradingView to say it, okay? So you have seen me on the get-together sessions, guys, that the moment price approached the moving average and I got an overlapping UFO, you have seen me take the trade no matter the color, no matter if the UFO was dark or light. Okay, now the meaning on TradeStation is that the darker the color, the higher the probability, the lighter the color, the less the probability. Okay, on TradingView is different. And again, it's because of how TradingView plots information. Okay, it's just a TradingView thing. Every platform is different, isn't it? So on TradingView, for the ones using TradingView, it's very, very, very easy to remember. Okay, but basically on TradingView, you have pure red and pure green, and then you have maroon red, and then you have olive green. Okay, so you don't have light and dark. You have the pure color or the non-pure color. Okay, so what is the pure red? So for example, in this chart, this is pure red. This is maroon red. So the pure red represents higher odds. The maroon red represents lesser odds. On the green side, this is the pure green and this is the olive green. So the pure green represents more odds where the olive green represents less odds. Okay? But still, you have seen me and you don't need to do what I do, because some of you may be more conservative and it's fine. That's going to be your decision again. In the end, it's your trading plan, right? Just like calibration. But if you do like I do, I actually don't care if it's pure or not pure. What I care about is that, do I have a UFO, yes or no? Is it lining up with the moving average, yes or no? And if I got 2 yeses as 2 answers, I'm in. That's it, okay? Again, that's what the methodology does, the way I utilize it on the get-together sessions, okay? But if you wanted to be more conservative, what would you do? You would use a greater calibration setting maybe 0.7, right? And on top of that, you would only use the pure color if you use TradingView, and you would only use the dark color, okay, if you were to use TradeStation. Okay, so this is dark green, this is dark red, this is light red on the top, and let me zoom out to see if we find no, with this amount of data I don't have any light green. Let me see if I change time frame. Well, it's all dark green. What about the monthly? With the monthly I do have light green. Okay, you see that? That would be light green, that would be dark green, that would be dark red, and that would be light red. Okay, cool. Anyway, so coming back to calibration. Okay guys, let's do this. I'm not done with calibration, and I would like to find a way that it works on TradeStation, but we have been connected together here for an hour, so I'm gonna give you a 5-minute break. Okay, I'm gonna restart my TradeStation. Hopefully it will load then market data with intraday timeframes. Hopefully TradeStation has finalized their maintenance, and I'll be able to demonstrate. If not, I'll demonstrate with the daily. That's it. Okay, so 5 minutes of break time. Back in 5. Hey everybody, could you please confirm that you hear me? I'm not getting any confirmation, and I would like to have someone confirm that sound is okay before we start. Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so let's continue. And as you can see on my screen, TradeStation on my side of the world is still not loading. I know that TradeStation has different servers located in different places of the world. And I'm guessing that when they're doing maintenance, they kind of do it in a sequence. And obviously they give priority to US and then Europe and then Asia. So I'm hoping before the end of the session, the color shade of the UFOs. That was the last question I answered. Mike Masters, Jose, currently using in TradingView as close my TradeStation brokerage account, although I still chart in TradeStation. Any plans to offer on Thinkorswim or Ninja Trader? The answer is yes, but we do not have a date as we have many other priorities that go first. Most of our Thinkorswim users or interactive broker users or Trade Tiger users or Oanda users or you name it, other brokers users, they use TradingView. And then for TradeStation, you just use TradeStation. So looking to improve. But at this moment in time, my priority, to be honest, is more than improving the app or having more versions of the app is to improve the support that we give you. Okay, so that's where our effort is concentrated at the moment. And it will take a while for us to have those apps running in other platforms, but we will. Okay. So in the meantime, just use TradingView. And by the way, the risk of using TradingView is that you will end up loving it because with TradingView as well, you have the app on your cell phone. Okay, you can have your beautiful, cute UFOs on your cell phone while you're on the go, which is fantastic for trade management and stuff like that. You cannot do that with TradeStation. Okay, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, what else? Yeah, I'm just, it seems that some of you get intraday data. Yeah. London Trader, I started backtesting with TradingView. It's very powerful. It is indeed. Thanks for sharing, Dirk. All the minutes time frames are not working in TS right now. One daily time is showing up. Again, they're doing maintenance, guys. Okay, we need to be patient. Harley, Jose, I'm fans of fib retracements. I noticed of Duyan Angara video, you calibrate 0.618. Yes, you are absolutely right. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. Okay. Yes. Lisa, the probability based on all UFOs, regardless of color. Yes, you are correct. So when you look at the probability, like it shows on TradeStation, okay, that number, 57% in this case, that means a price bouncing from UFO to UFO, no matter if the UFO was light or dark, no matter if the UFO was a pure color or a non-pure color if it's TradingView. Okay, so it's a raw statistic. Okay, and again, the purpose of that stats is to give you a way to build certain level of confidence on what you do, and also to know what to expect, because it has a lot to do with the confidence I was talking about earlier. I was going to say earlier, when I tried to move into the Great British Pound and I got stuck with the intraday timeframes. So think about this for a minute. Let's do it with the daily, okay? So you get my point. So let's say you have used the euro all your life as a trader, and you have been trading the euro for 5 years, and you know everything you need to know about the euro, and you are very confident, and you know your results and everything. And suddenly someone tells you, hey, why don't you trade the pound? Why don't you trade crude oil? Why don't you trade the NASDAQ? Why don't you trade the Nifty? Why don't you trade, you name it, right? And let's say you are now facing a market you never traded in your life before. For example, the Great British Pound. And now you hit that symbol and you load the chart and it gives you statistics 53.99. So what is that telling you? Well, it's telling you that you kind of know what to expect now. Is that making sense? So with the pound, you should expect a little less probability than the euro. What if it was to be the New Zealand dollar, US dollar? You may have never traded the Kiwi. Well, now you know the probability is about 60. So you should have, after a collection of trades, the trades with the Kiwi should be a little better than the euro. Does it mean you stop trading the euro? No, of course not. If you were trading the euro and you had good results, keep doing it. But now, if you are about to start trading a new market, you also know what to expect from the new market. Okay, and that's powerful. Okay, now on top of that, talking about building confidence, you can also see how the market behaves through time, which that's also very critical. For example, with the euro, you were used, let's say you have been trading this market for 5 years. Okay, let me be a little more specific. Okay, so let's play with the dates now. So I am double clicking on the candles to get access to my format symbol settings window, right? And let's say I'm gonna look at the first date, and let's say just to look at run numbers, I'm gonna look at last day of 2018, starting on January 1st, 2013. Okay, so that would be, if I'm not mistaken, it would be 5 years of data. Isn't it? You got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Actually, that's 6 years of data. That 2014. Okay, that would be 5 years of data. So let's say you have been trading the euro for 5 years, and in that particular time frame, in this case daily, I would like to do it intraday, but as you know, I cannot. So let's do it daily. So what would you expect? 57%. Okay. But let's say you are like, okay, so what if I trade the pound? And you look at the pound, and with the same 5 years, you got 49%. Okay? And now you go back to the euro and you say, hey, wait a minute. What if instead of trading the euro during the last 5 years, I had traded the euro? Let me double click. What if instead I have traded those 5 years, what if I had traded the euro, only during 2 years, 2016 to 2018? So what would be my stats, right? So now 2016 to 2018, that's 58. Okay? What if instead of the euro, what if it was the pound? Okay, so I'm just double clicking on the candles. What if it was the GBP USD for those 2 years, 2016 to 18, 2 years? Actually, that's 3 years. Sorry for that. So you will get 58. Okay? You will get 58. What if you had traded the euro during, instead of 5 years, what if you had traded the euro starting in 2000? Okay, 18 years. Okay, well, actually, that would be 19 years, right? You know, what would happen? So you click OK, and it's logging all the data, and now you get 58. Okay, what if you that was the pound, sorry for that. What if you did this with the euro? So I'm loading the euro. Okay, we got all data all the way from 2000. Okay, and now you got 58. So you could keep playing with the dates, and you can do that intraday as well. Okay, let me try one more time to see if they have finished. Oh yes, here we go. Yeah, they have finished the maintenance. Okay, so let's say you are doing this intraday, and you are looking at the euro in the 10-minute time frame, right? And you are like, okay, so I have traded the euro in the last 5 years. So I'm just gonna go ahead here and type 5 years. Okay, you could do this 5 years, or you could pick the dates manually. It's whatever you want. So let's say you have traded the euro in the last 5 years. So if you had taken all the trades in the 10-minute time frame, and this is gonna stress your computer, by the way, because I'm loading a lot of data here. So it's gonna wait. It's gonna take a while, but you would have still pending data. So we don't know yet. Okay, we're still waiting. Okay, still pending data. Okay, in this case, if I go for view download scheduler, okay, now you can see how it is downloading euro data here. You see that? Okay, so this is gonna take a while because I'm loading a ton of data here, like massive. By the way, if you do this while the market is open, it will freeze your computer. TradeStation will not be able to handle it. Okay, if you do it over the weekend when the market is closed, or you do it while you are disconnected from TradeStation, so you load the chart, you disconnect from TradeStation, and then you add the UFOs, it would work as well. Okay, so since it's the weekend, we are doing it. One second, guys, because I see a little, maybe a problem with the stream. Okay, everybody, I've seen a little problem on the stream. Could you please confirm, everybody, that you see me well and you hear me well? Is that possible? Please give me that confirmation when possible. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. So again, I'm loading data here. PD is for pending data. This is gonna take a while. I want to compare both. So that way, you know, both are gonna take a while, but then I will have them both. Okay, and you will see what I want to do, because again, what I'm doing. Remember, I cannot detach calibration with you building your own confidence as a trader. It goes together. Calibration defines you when it comes to what type of trader you are, because you are calibrating the app to be like you. So it goes together. It's like the egg and the chicken. I don't know what goes first, but it goes together. So I want you to see this. Okay. So while this is loading, let me take a look at your questions, and then I will show you something that is very, very powerful. And let me see. So yeah, Jose, if we have any chance, could you go over logging trades and things you put in your logs? Yes, absolutely. Rajwan, I use IB platform. I looked into TradingView. They don't even provide a phone for support. Maybe some of TradingView users can confirm if they provide free tool for support or not. They don't. TradingView is not a broker. Okay, it's just a very easy to use website, and there is a whole community with TradingView. So really, the support is given to you by the community. Okay, so there is here, you can see, you got public chats. You can get into your public chats here, and cryptocurrencies, Forex, PineScript, Apple, whatever. So you have chats for everything and beyond, and you got also chats that will talk about how to use TradingView. So you can just chat with those people, and the community itself will be supporting you on how to use it. It's super simple. And remember, TradingView is not a broker, it's a charting service. Okay, so super, super easy to use. Bruno, Jose, your screen is very hazy. It was clear before the break. So please go ahead and review your settings on YouTube. You have a little settings wheel below. Click on the wheel and select HD. Okay, thank you, Wojan, for that. Very good. Very good. Very good. Maka, why do you have one stat when there are several UFOs? Because the stat is the aggregate of everything that happened in that time period, which in this case is 5 years of a 10-minute time frame. Okay? And because the stat is not a number designed to tell you what to expect from your trading method, because your trading method may have you use multiple time frames, may have you look at the trend or not, may have you set 1 or 2 targets or 3, exactly, etc. So so I believe we are about to see results here. So the stats are about giving you a measurement that allows you to understand what the app is about to do, to help you build confidence, and to help you understand what the ideal setting would be, in the sense that the higher the number, the less the trades, and the higher the quality, the lesser the number, the more the trades, but the lesser the quality. And that number is designed to give you a measurement of that, especially if one day you were to change from one market that you know to trade a market you never traded before, so you can go ahead and know what to expect. Okay, that's the reason for that number. Okay, so that's why, out of simplicity, that's why we did it in that particular way. Is that making sense? So don't look too deep into this number. Okay, we could certainly take this number and separate it into groups and say, okay, only for green, only for red, only if it's dark, only if it's light. But you know what? By doing that, you would just overcomplicate. Remember, in the get-together sessions, as long as I got the methodology with the moving average, and I got the confluence, and I got the UFO, I don't even care if it's dark or green, I take the trade. Is that making sense? So it's not about that. It's about calibrating the app and building your confidence, which goes together. Okay? So very good question, but we don't need to go that deep in that case, okay? Good. Let me see. Okay. Good, perfect. Okay, so we got a Great British Pound 10-minute time frame, we got 5 years of data, and we got 59%. What if we look at the euro? Okay, so let's say you have traded the British Pound all your life, you know that market very well for 5 years, and you got 59% overall if you were to ignore everything and just raw statistics, right? So what if you never traded the euro and now you're considering, you know what if I add the euro to my portfolio? So now you add the euro. Okay, it's going to take a while to calculate because again, it's huge amount of data what I'm loading here. Okay, so we're going to give TradeStation just a little bit of a time. All the time that it spent was not to calculate, was to download the data. Now that the data is on my hard drive, now TradeStation is calculating, as you can see on the upper part of the screen, it's calculating analysis techniques. And in a minute, we will get the result. Keep in mind, the Great British Pound was 59. If the number with the euro is better, you know it makes sense for you to trade it. If the number with the euro is a little worse, it's okay for you to trade it too. But what if the number with the euro was to be very bad? Well, then it would be crazy for you to trade the euro. Is that making sense? And that way now you know what to expect from a market before you start trading. Okay? So with 5 years of data, the euro gives you 60, the pound gives you 59 or 58. So you know it's kind of, you're going to get similar results with those two markets, even if one of them you never traded it before. Again, working on building your confidence, okay? Earlier with TradingView, we did it with market replay. With TradeStation, we have a different way on how to do it. Why? Because there is no market replay on TradeStation, okay? That feature does not exist. So I had to give you another way on how to be able to reach that level of confidence, okay? In the last 5 years, what if it was in the last 5 months? In other words, maybe you get 60% because the initial 3 years were amazingly profitable with the euro, but the last 2 years were pathetic, right? And maybe you will get 60%, but the reality is that the last 5 months will be very bad if what I just said was true. So let's look at the stats during the last 5 months. Now you would do that, and what it is telling you? 68. So you will be like, you know what? I am more or less where I was before. Actually, it's a little better. Great. Okay. What about the pound? Okay, is the pound a good market to trade as well? Well, 66. It's more or less the same too. So what are you now realizing? You're realizing, you know what? If I traded the euro or the pound for a long time, it works well. If I traded the euro or the pound for a shorter term, it works well too. Okay. What if you get even more kind of like picky and you say, okay, wait a minute. I want to know about the last 5 weeks. Okay, so let's go for the last 5 weeks. Okay, the last 5 weeks with the pound is giving you 65. What about the last 5 weeks with the euro? The last 5 weeks with the euro is giving you 66. Okay, that should help you build confidence. Is that making sense? You know the tool is doing something that gives you an edge. Then it's all about a matter of adding extra tools to do even better, manage your exits with 1 or 2 or 3 targets, use stops and be disciplined with the risk management. But you know the tool is doing something that should help you. Okay? What if you tell me, wait a minute, but this is the last 5 weeks. What if it was 5 weeks, but starting on 2000. Okay, so I did 5 weeks. Oh, okay, I cannot do that. So what if I need to do it manually? So 5 weeks, that is a month and a half. Okay, so that would be February 15, 2000. From June 1st, 2000 to February 15, 2000. That is 5 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But 19 years ago. So what would have happened if you traded the euro 19 years ago during 5 weeks? Okay, so I don't have this data. Interesting. Let's move the date a little further. You probably know as well, and maybe I should have chosen another market to do this demonstration, because you probably know that TradeStation used to be a forex broker, but then it was acquired by someone else, by another company, which is Oanda, by the way. And so the data feeds is different. So you may not have all the data. I'm talking about historical data because of that. Okay. So what if I do 2010? Okay, still good. 9 years ago. So let's see what happened. So waiting for data. Here we go. So you got 55. Okay. So what if I did the pound in those time horizons, right? And this is kind of what you want to do. And again, this takes time, but you spend a few days doing that, and you conclude, by doing this, you conclude very well which are the markets that you want to trade and which calibration setting you would want to use. Because with 0.5, the pound is giving you 58. But what if I used 0.618? Okay. So what's going to happen? It's giving me 62. Okay. Which, by the way, this is something I wanted to share with you all as well, which doesn't mean you have to do that yourself. But that's the number I use myself. Okay. Why? Well, because unless you haven't noticed, I like fibs. 0.618 is the golden ratio. And 0.5, it's the midpoint, which is good. A little above is a little conservative. So I went a little above 0.5, and instead of picking 0.6 or 0.7, I just went for a golden number, right? And so 0.68, okay? 0.618. Which is the golden ratio. Okay, and that's the one I use myself. Okay, when I do my own trades. To be honest, it's almost the same as 0.5. It's almost the same as 0.7. It's not magical. But again, I spent time in the past doing all those things for myself, and I concluded I like this number, and I saw it to act consistently with all the markets that I trade. And the markets that I trade, I've been playing with the dates to find the consistency. So what did I do to myself? I work on developing my own self-confidence. Okay, and then also with TradingView, I did play a lot with market replay and stuff like that. Okay, and basically this is the process of calibration. Okay, even though I kind of gave you an indication here of what I do for myself, which again, it's not an instruction, it's not if you wish, it's not like I'm advising you to use this number. It's just I'm just sharing what I do for myself. But I did show you the process both on TradingView and TradeStation on how to reach that point. And the calibration process, as you can see, everybody, takes time. Okay, takes time. I wish I could snap fingers and whatever, but the reality is that learning how to trade is a process, and building confidence is something that cannot be taught. Building confidence is something that only can be developed via practice and putting time and effort. And in this case, I'm counting on you guys to do this for yourself with whatever markets that you trade, with whichever time frames that you like to trade, to reach a point where you end up with a number you like. And in my case, I use 0.618 for all time frames, all markets I trade. And I will never change it. Okay, because remember, changing the number doesn't change what the app does. What it changes is my trading style. It would make me more active or less active if I change the number. And since I have been trading for years and I know myself well, I have concluded that the trader I am is the trader I will be for the rest of my life. And therefore, I will not change that number in my case. Okay, some of you may be more conservative at the beginning, less conservative in the future, less conservative at the beginning, more conservative in the future. So some of you may change it or may not change it. That would depend on your approach. Is that making sense? But that would be the process. Okay, and it took me much longer than what I expected because of the little technology issue. And let's face it, this is an important subject, so I have no intention to rush through this subject, but it's something that was important. Okay, Dirk, I've been using AutoUFOs for myself since 2009, so it's a little more than 10 years now that I have been using this. All markets, all time frames, Dirk. Anyway, so let me rewind a little bit to make sure I miss no question. Let me see. Rajwan, TradingView is free of use if you use what is known as the basic plan. Okay, so something that you may want to do, it's to come to www.tradewithufos.com/TradingView. Okay, so it's basically our website /TradingView, and that will bring you straight into the different available plans with TradingView. Okay, it's just a little shortcut to make it easy for you. The basic plan is free. Okay, then you got pro plans and premium plans. Okay, so what's the difference? Well, if you scroll down, you will see it. Okay, basically, if you're using the basic plan, you can only use one chart at a time. Okay, with the pro plan, you could do 2 charts at a time. With the premium plan, you can do 8 charts at a time. I would say 1 chart at a time is more than enough, you know, for almost every trade. Okay, if you want to be very, very sophisticated, you know, you can do like what we do with TradeStation, with many charts and many things, right? But again, this is for you to try. Certainly, I recommend you to start with basics so you get right, and that's it. Okay. So what else? David Hyde, any negative effect on using UFO calibration using the Heiken Ashi candles since they are calculated? I do not know, David. I would say it should be about the same, but since I have not experienced it myself, I don't know. Okay, so I cannot give you a totally closed answer to this question. Okay, so I prefer to tell you that, you know, go ahead and do the research yourself, and you know what, if you do, share with us. I would love to know how did it go after you did the research yourself, if you are curious to do so. I would not know. My anticipation is that in the end the app is processing an algo in the background that should result in the same results with that type of charts. Okay, but since I have not tried myself, I don't want to just give you a too quick answer, because in the end, out of my answer, you're gonna put money at risk, and I want to make sure that you do it safely, and therefore I would want to recommend that you do the test yourself. Okay, because I have not done it myself. Okay, normally I use either bar charts or candlesticks. Bar charts when I want to save space on the chart, and candlesticks when I don't need to save space. Very good, Lisa. Question. So pros and cons of TradeStation and TradingView. So with TradeStation, there is no market replay. You know, that's a little bit of a bummer, if you wish, because really, as you have seen earlier, the market replay functionality is super, super powerful. And with TradeStation, you cannot do market replay. There is no engine that allows you to go back in time and click in a place on the chart and then click play and pause and stuff like that. You cannot do it. So the most you can do with TradeStation, and by the way, only in daily, weekly, and monthly time frame, okay, only daily, weekly, and monthly time frame, is to go ahead and play with the dates. So for example, let's say you tell me, okay, it's 4:30, okay, and you want to plan a trade to see what would happen if it's 4:30. So you would double click on the candles, okay, and in the last date, you would type 4:30, and that way you rewind back in time manually, okay? And you would say, okay, so this is what I have. So what if, you know, I got a UFO here, okay? What if sometime in the future, what if the next day, this market comes into the UFO? What would happen? So you go back to double click, okay, and you go for May 1st, okay, and May 1st, it doesn't seem that the price touched the UFO. So May 2nd, you see, you would add candles one at a time, which is, this is really, really tedious. Okay, now, and you can see as well that it went from dark green to light green. So now you are in a trade. Okay, so now you're in a trade. So what happened now? And now you can say, okay, let's say next week. What happened next week? So you double click and you go from May 2nd to May 9, hit enter. And you know, it went from here to here, right? And then it came back into the UFO, okay? And you know, it consumed orders enough, so the UFO is gone. It's not even light anymore. So you could go back in time and keep adding dates one at a time. You could do this with daily, weekly, and monthly. That's the most you can do when it comes to market replay. Where with TradingView, it's amazing that you could do market replay, okay? It's a fantastic, fantastic engine, okay? You don't have that with TradeStation. This is pro and con. Now, what about type of charts? Where with TradeStation, you have share bars and you have tick charts. Okay? With TradingView, okay, give me a second, guys. I'm having a little issue with my mouse, not willing to move into my other screen. Okay, now. So with TradingView, okay, the type of charts you have are time-based. And then you have those charts in the bottom, which are called as ranges, which I never used with the app, so I cannot advise on that. In other words, with TradingView, you do not have share bars, you do not have tick charts. Okay, that's another pro and con. In this case, that's a pro for TradeStation, that's a con for TradingView. When it comes to the market replay, that's a pro for TradingView, and that's a con for TradeStation. What else? Market data. Okay, with TradeStation, all of you should know, and if you don't know, pay attention. All of you should know that since a year or 2 years ago, you can get TradeStation accounts with no software fee, no monthly fee for the software, and no market data fee either. Okay, many people use Thinkorswim because Thinkorswim doesn't charge for the software and doesn't charge for the market data. And even though the commissions are quite pricey, many people are happy to pay commissions pricier to Thinkorswim because they don't need to pay for the software, they don't need to pay for the market data. And in the old times, TradeStation used to charge for the market data and the software, even though the commissions were cheaper. Okay, well, this changed close to 2 years ago. And now TradeStation doesn't charge for market data and doesn't charge for software either. Okay, and the commissions are cheaper. Okay, so if you didn't know that, you need to know that. If you already have an account with TradeStation and they charge you for market data or they charge you in monthly fees, call them immediately, talk to them, and ask them to change that. If you don't have a TradeStation account and you would like to have one, again, to make it simple, you go to tradewithufos.com/TradeStation. And that's a little trick again to bring you into the place where to start your account. Okay? Let me type this on the chat box. So you have tradewithufos.com/TradingView. Okay? And tradewithufos.com/TradeStation. This is just 2 links that we have created to make your life a little simpler, so you don't need to do searches. If you do the TradingView, you go to TradingView. If you do a TradeStation, you go for TradeStation, right? And you just get into this place. So you can add a new account, register a new account. And again, with TradeStation, they will not charge you for software. They will not charge you for market data. Okay, so that's a benefit of TradeStation. They don't charge you for market data and it's real time, and they don't charge you for software. With TradingView, if you use the basic plan, they don't charge you for the platform. Okay, but for the market data, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it depends. Here is a list of all the available markets. Some of those markets, okay, are what they call free data. So cryptocurrencies, by the way, that's another benefit of TradingView. Cryptocurrencies are in TradingView, they are not in TradeStation. So that's a little pro for TradingView. Cryptocurrency are free and real-time data. You got many other markets with TradingView that are free real-time data too. Okay, so the Canadian Security Exchange, USA stock market, European Union, some Eurex markets, some Germany markets, some Italy, all this is free market data. But notice how some are delayed and some are real-time. So for example, the Moscow Exchange is real-time and free, and you have it in TradingView, and you don't have that in TradeStation, not even if you want to pay. So this is a pro for TradingView. You have many markets that are not available in TradeStation, and many of them are real-time. The problem with TradingView is that some markets that you probably use, such as futures, could be crude oil, the Nasdaq, etc. Okay, if you wanna have them to be real time, for example, real time CME, okay, they would charge you $45 for the real time, where with TradeStation you don't have to pay for this and you still have real time. Okay, so you found an account with TradeStation with $500, which is the minimum requirement, and maybe you do your futures trades with another broker. Okay, but just because you have $500 in your account, you have the account, you have TradeStation, you have real-time data. With TradingView, if you want the real-time data for markets such as futures, you need to pay $45 a month if you want the CME. If you want the CBOT, you need to pay another $25. If you want the COMEX, you need to pay another $25. If you want them all, if you add it all, I believe is $110. Okay? If you didn't want real-time, you have them all and they're free. But if you want real time, you have to pay for it. Okay, so that's a disadvantage for TradingView, which is an advantage for TradeStation. Okay, at the same time, let's say you do Forex or let's say you do stocks, well then it's free and it's real time. Okay, and so it's great. Okay, another disadvantage for TradeStation is that with the mobile app on TradeStation, you cannot run the UFOs. Where with TradingView, with the mobile app, you can run the UFOs, and that's great for trade management and things like that. So what do you do in a perfect world? Well, you get both apps. You get the TradingView and you get the TradeStation, and now you can do things that are quite cool. Okay. Now this also involves a greater cost, so obviously I'm saying that being sensitive of it. You don't need to. Okay, but like I wish all apps were to be just as equal or just as perfect, but the reality is that in the world everything got pros and cons. Another disadvantage is that with TradeStation you got the statistics on the screen. With TradingView you cannot. But again, we said before, you got the market replay on TradingView where you don't have market replay on TradeStation. Okay, so again, it's very personal, guys. Okay, in the end, the bottom line is that this is very personal, but now hopefully this has helped you to clarify a little bit better the tools. Okay, so let's keep going here. Let me see. John Clifford, do you have a process to monitor more than 2 markets at a time for intraday trades? I find that running more than 2 UFOs workspace can be problematic for TradeStation. Okay, John, you are right, and at the same time, it doesn't need to be like that necessarily. And by the way, Lisa, back to one of your questions earlier when you were talking about stability and the amount of bars on the chart and all of this. Guys, when I run this workspace on TradeStation, I am using, take a look, I am using, double click, 144 bars per chart for the ones on the top, and for the reactive time frames, I am running 55. Okay? If you do something like that, which by the way, it's more than enough, because don't I have the UFOs I need on the screen, isn't it? So it's more than enough. If you do something like that, that's it. You're gonna be fine. You can run as many UFOs as you want in as many monitors as you want, and you're gonna be fine. Sometimes we are perfectionists more than what we need, and we end up loading 2,000 bars in a chart where, to be honest, you trade in the direction of the trend. You only need to see a few candles on the chart. You don't need to see the whole thing on the left. The whole thing on the left is filled orders, isn't it? It doesn't matter. You only need to see the UFOs that are close to price. So don't be perfectionist if that's the case. If you have a little amount of candles in the charts and you still have freezing problems with TradeStation, then you have a problem at a different level. And the problem could come from 2 different places, let me tell you. Problem number 1, actually 3 different places. Problem number 1, sometimes you change the amount of bars per candle on a specific time frame, in this case 2,584 share bar, you change it to 144 or whatever, but then you forgot to set as default, and then you have some other mysterious chart in some other workspace, in some other monitor, where you never change and you didn't realize that, and that other chart is slowing down your computer. So make sure all the charts are right. Second, make sure you set as default, and also if you set it as default for the 144, you will realize that maybe you change this to whatever other figure, or you change it to minutes, and maybe with minutes you have a different figure because you had it set as default differently. And maybe you never noticed that. So then you had another chart in another workspace that was changed that you didn't realize, and that other chart is guilty to slow down your whole computer. So bring the numbers down, set it as default, and make sure this is for all time frames. This is problem number one that happens to our users. Problem number two, the antivirus. Okay, make sure you call TradeStation and you tell TradeStation to set up your antivirus to not to filter TradeStation. Because some antivirus are a little naughty and they will really slow down TradeStation as they are filtering the market data coming in. And you don't need to filter the market data coming in because there is no risk of virus in the market data, which is coming straight from the TradeStation servers. So call your broker, TradeStation, tell them over the phone, please help me set up my antivirus so my antivirus does not filter TradeStation. Problem number three, corrupted files. Corrupted files on TradeStation can be found in three places. First, the cache folder. So close TradeStation, delete the cache folder. Let me show you where it is. Okay. So when you come to your list of folders, you go to the C drive, you go to program files, you find TradeStation 9.5 or TradeStation 10, you find program, and here's the cache folder. Delete that folder while TradeStation is closed and restart TradeStation. So if there was any corrupted file there, it will be reloaded. Okay, and no worries because there is nothing there that you need to keep. Okay, so you can just delete, okay, just right click and delete and you're fine, okay? And then you restart TradeStation. So corrupted files. Corrupted files, as I was saying, can be in three places. First place, the cache folder. Second place, the workspaces. Sometimes your workspace file gets corrupted. Okay? So when that's the case, you just build new workspace. Okay? You start fresh. You go ahead and you re-add a new chart. And once you re-added the new chart, okay, and once you re-added the new chart, you go ahead and you right-click, save as, and then you just give it the name of the prior workspace you had, okay? Maybe you're calling it EML Lab ES, so you just give it the same name, okay? You just give it the same name, and when you click save, it will ask you, do you want to overwrite, okay? Then you click yes, and then the corrupted workspace would be overwritten with a new file that is not corrupted. I'm gonna click no because my workspace is not corrupted, so I don't wanna overwrite it. But if yours was corrupted, which is one of the reasons for slowing down, this is what you would do. Third problem that you could have with corrupted files, the desktop. Sometimes, this is rare, but sometimes the desktop files get corrupted. So what do? You do the same thing. You go ahead and you click new desktop. You open a new desktop, right? And then you save as desktop and you overwrite with the prior name. And that way you know your desktop file is not corrupted, your workspace file is not corrupted, your cache folder is not corrupted, your antivirus is not filtering TradeStation, and the amount of bars per chart is limited to a smaller number. And my friends, if you do that, you are fine. And if you are not fine, send us an email. We will set up a one-on-one session where we remote your computer, where we control your computer remotely, and we will take a look at what's happening to your machine because something's going on if that's the case. Okay? That's it. Little technology here. They hide for your interest. Sign up for the free Pro Plus trial on TradingView. At the end of the trial, they offer a 50% discount on the rate if you pay annually. Pretty good deal. Yes, very, very good one. So here's the trick. If you sign up for TradingView, just sign up for the trial, okay? I mean, you know the basic plan. You don't need to. With the basic plan, you don't need to pay anything. Okay, but if you sign up for the Pro, okay, which in my case I am logged in as me as Tradictive on the top. So notice what is sharing with me already, right? Because I am a customer already. They are offering me a 33% discount if I pay for 2 years because I am already in. Okay. That would be billed every 2 years, okay? So if you are not in yet, they will offer you a monthly rate, okay? And they will also offer you a trial. So get the trial. And maybe 2-3 weeks later, they will start sending you emails telling you the trial is about to finish, sign up. Ignore it. Just keep wait until the end. And 2 or 3 days before the end of the trial, which is 1 month, they will send you 30% discount, 40% discount, and finally they will reach that 50% discount. So when you reach 50% discount, this is when you sign up. It will be a 1-year deal, and you get 50% discount. Okay, so it's the way to get it for the lower cost. Okay, good one. What else? TradingView has phone app. Yes, true, Lisa. If you trade enough, TOS will give you better commissions. Yes, TOS and TradeStation and interactive brokers too, all brokers, but it has to be significant. Okay, Lisa, thank you. I will call them those dogs. Very good. London, TradeStation recently changed their Forex feed. Yes, they have. Okay. Moshi, they said I needed $30 a month about 6 months ago. Yeah, again, try again. Just pick a new username and do that process, okay? They will give you that 50%. Bruno, wow. And to think TradeStation will automatically stop charging. Thanks, Jose, for the information. I'll call them first thing Monday. Yes, of course, Bruno. Again, this is the power of being a team. Pedro, I got data bill from TradeStation this week. Weird. Yeah, so talk to them. John Clifford, Bruno, also even after you charge your plan, watch TradeStation, they will still be deducting the fees monthly unless you call and eventually they will stop. How you will too. Yes, again, TradeStation is a big company, and you know what happens with big companies. It's just like when you call the call center for your bank or a travel agency, sometimes you pick agents or representative over the phone which are more efficient than others. Let's put it this way. So just watch it, and if any, call again. Okay. Very good. Bruno, thanks, John. Have not traded futures in a while. Plan to get back using UFOs. Mostly interested in trading currency futures. Very good. Yes, Lisa, you delete cash folder too. I have had that happen. Reboot the workspace several times. Yes, and normally the corrupted files, guys, happens because of problems with the internet connection. Okay, so make sure you have a stable connection. Maybe it's not the internet connection, but it's the antivirus slowing down how the data comes into your folder, and therefore you end up with a corrupted file on your database. It's let's put it this way. TradeStation, it's delicate. Okay, so we need to treat TradeStation delicately, make it smooth connection, and also make sure the antivirus do not interfere, because we don't need to. Okay? It's not like you put yourself at risk. Okay, so that's it. John Clifford, in swing trade, sharpening in the future. I'm sorry, John, I don't fully understand your question. Would you mind to rephrase it, please? Lisa, size of the UFOs versus the calibration. Oh, yes, I forgot that one. So, earlier when I told you that when the calibration number is greater, it makes you more conservative, and when the calibration number is lesser, it makes you more, let's call it aggressive. These also have another angle. Okay, earlier I talked about it from the point of view of quantity of trades and probability. But there is one more component, which I forgot to mention, Lisa, thank you so much, which is the size of the UFOs. Okay, in most cases, and again, every time frame is different, but in most cases, if you use a greater calibration, what will happen to the high of the UFO band, it's to be greater. And if you use a smaller calibration setting, the size of the UFO band will be lesser, will be less wide. So this has a direct impact in reward and risk ratios. Because if you think of a normal trade, where normally, in a normal case, you would have a stop located above the UFO, an entry somewhere around the UFO, and then of course the target using the rival UFO. Okay, but in this case, I don't want to talk about targets. I want to talk about stops and entries, where the difference between stop and entry is the risk. Okay, well, think about the size of the risk. In this case, the risk will go from 132.00 to 130.04. So that would, 130.04. That would be the size of the risk, right? Where if I was to use a lesser calibration setting, now my UFO would be narrower, which maybe would mean that instead of 132, it would be, 131.6 to 130.24. I'm just making this up, but you get my point. It will make the UFO narrower, so therefore you reduce the risk. So you reduce the risk. This also means that you enhance the reward as a relationship to risk. So with a lesser calibration setting, you will get better reward to risk ratios, but you get stopped out more often. With a greater calibration setting, you get worse reward to risk ratios. You have more risk, so you have worse reward to risk ratio, but you get stopped out less often. Okay, so again, what is worse, what is best? It depends on your style. You now know my style. 0.618 is the answer. Is that making sense? In my case, your case, please go ahead, go over the process. Believe me, guys, it's worth it that you spend, let's call it a week, just exploring all those charts up and down, changing settings, experimenting until you get a great understanding of the tool and yourself, which is even more important. And now you understand better what's the setting that you like. And maybe you like the same as me, and then it's great. And if not, any other setting will be great too. Okay, because what matters is you, because who clicks the button is you. Okay, so very good one, Lisa. I actually omit that one by mistake, so thanks for that. John, is swing trade sharpening in the futures? Yes, John. We're gonna have sessions on sharpening in the futures. We're gonna have sessions on more options in the future. We're gonna have sessions on forex in the future. We need to have sessions on risk management in the future. We still need to sharpen a lot. There is a lot to sharpen about, okay? And then as we are doing all those things together, you guys are defining who are you as a trader. And some of you will be joining us for all the sessions and doing all the trades that we do. Some of you will be doing one style only. Everybody will be totally different. But in the end, our intention is to give you all the tools for all of you, no matter who you are, okay? That's the goal. So the answer is yes. Lisa, great, thanks. London trader Jose, what parameter do you use on TradingView? Yeah. 0.618, same one. Okay, so 0.1618. That's the one. Okay, that's how I do it. Anyway, good. So, wow, my friends, we spent 2 hours talking about calibration. This, I have to say, I was not expecting it, even though I am very glad that we put all this time into this very, very critical subject. How are you doing, guys? How is it going? How was the session today? Because I have a bunch of questions in a written form that you guys have sent, and I'm sure you guys have questions too. Okay, so it's looking like next Saturday will be Q&A too. Okay, we'll continue with questions because I haven't addressed any of your questions that you sent. But how is it going so far? Jose, any chance you maybe 30-40 minute session twice a week on short term where there is nothing but trading the plan you created? Yes, Bojan, but I need to do something first to get there. Okay, I need to give you the methodology that you currently have in 4 sessions. Okay, so if I look at, I love your suggestions, guys, because somehow your suggestions are guiding me into what I should be doing for you. So please keep suggesting, okay? So if you look at our YouTube channel, Okay, I believe all of you know how to find it. youtube.com/c/tradewithufo. By the way, everybody click the thumbs up, everybody click subscribe, everybody clicks the bell. Even if you're watching this recorded, please go ahead so we are better connected. And when you come in here, all of you should be familiar, and if you're not, take a look. This is the Get Together playlist. So when you click View Full Playlist, this will give you a list, and the 4 sessions I would like to mention right now is Sharpening Intraday 4, Sharpening Intraday 3, 2, and Sharpening Intraday 1. Okay, so in those 4 sharpening sessions, Bojan, I have been explaining the methodology, you know, almost every single angle of it. Okay, we will still have something a few things to add if you wish. Okay, and I can see that out of the questions that you have sent, there are still a few things to clarify, so I will add more. But basically, like 95% of the methodology is covered there, and therefore we could certainly run short sessions where I don't explain anything. I just plan trades, execute, plan trade, execute. Okay, and I want to do that. But at the same time, I know that not all of you have watched those videos yet. And at the same time, I would like those videos to be a little more structured. So I am in the process of building better tools for you guys. And the moment I have those tools, then I will be doing that, because I said it before, and believe me, we will. We'll be adding more sessions. Okay. Instead of 3 sessions a week, we'll be doing more stuff together, guys. Okay. So I'll get there. Okay. Just bear with me on that, Bojan, because we are willing to do things well done, and therefore we are not willing to rush it. Okay. Lisa, thanks. I feel like I'm ready to use UFOs. I love to hear that, Lisa, because again, what you just said is not about I'm happy to hear because UFOs is my baby. The reason why I'm happy to hear that is because this tells me that your confidence level is going up, and this is how you become a trader. Okay, so you put the time, you get the understanding. Remember when I told you before the why? We are adults. For you to be confident, you need to understand why. So this is telling me you are understanding why, you are ready to put the practice and the time I said to do the all the market replay, etc., or you have done it already, and that's why you feel the way you say. So what a great thing to be said, Lisa. What a great thing for me to read from you, and what a good example for all of you guys that haven't not done it yet. Okay, guys. So thank you for that, Lisa. That really makes my day. Bojan, gotcha, can't wait. Dirk, all good so far. Looking forward to some of the questions being answered. Yes, I know. And believe me, I was expecting today to have some of those answers, but hey, in the end, it took longer. It's okay. Bojan, I've got over them twice and tweaking stuff each time. I can catch something very clear on my own trading. Yes. And by the way, guys, even though I will not be able to show it today, and it would be really, Bojan should show that, not me. But I would like to congratulate you, Bojan, for what you're doing. If you don't mind me to share, Bojan is building a diagram. I told you that one of these days, I will be sharing with you a diagram that summarizes the methodologies that we are putting together. So basically, you follow a diagram flow, and that will really lead you to be very mechanical, and also to do the market replay with a diagram, right? Because it's just what happens in many industries. If you work in an industry, let's say you work in a Coca-Cola company and they're producing those Coca-Cola drinks, they don't do it by having very long documents of pages and pages explaining what they do. They certainly have those documents, but they summarize everything with a diagram with processes that they implement in that industry. Okay, and that's how industries function, and this is what in trading means to be mechanical. So Bojan is building his own diagram. He showed it to me, and it's looking good, guys. And the beauty, even though I'll make one for you guys, but the beauty and the power of Bojan diagram that mine will not have is that this is the one he made for himself. So the level of how deep he has internalized that information out of practice, it's unbelievable. Okay, and I would love you guys to go through the same thing, even though I will provide more tools to you guys to keep supporting you as I've been doing since the beginning. Okay, so congratulations, my friend. London Trader, I feel I have a lot of backtesting work ahead of me with TradingView. Quite quickly, you can get a feel of the methodology with the tool. Good. Feel free to share. Okay, good. So you know what? Anyone who wants a copy of Bojan diagram, email us, reach@tradewithufos.com. And anyone who also would like a list with the timeframes, because one of the questions that you guys have is that sometimes when you take a screenshot of the list of timeframes, it's a little blurry. So anyone who wants this screenshot, email us too, and we'll send you back those two files, the timeframes and Bojan diagram. Okay, guys? So email us, and we will send that to you guys. Yep, John, Jose, much appreciated and happy to wait to answer the questions. What we did today was very helpful. Yeah, you know what? In one hand, John, and again, I wish I had a magic formula where I could snap my fingers and all the questions are answered, all the methodologies are given, all the knowledge is acquired, everything is done, and it took 5 minutes. I wish the reality is that that does not exist, and we need to take our time. And my priority is to do these things well done and do these things right for you guys, so that way you can progress properly in a way that is stable, that is continuous progress until you get to a point where the market is paying you guys, okay, and is paying you with consistency. That's the key, okay. And so I don't mind to make it long, even though I wish I could shorten it, but at the same time is what it is, guys, okay. And I'm counting on you to be patient and bear with me if needed, because again, in this case, I'm not shooting for, that balance between quality and quantity. In this case, I'm shooting for the quality. Okay, so that's it. So if it takes time, let's be it. Okay, so that's what I'm shooting for. Anyway, my friends, super pleasure to spend a couple of hours with you today. So next week, we'll get to see each other again. More sharpening coming next week. Oh, one last thing. When you get to, I almost forget, and I wanted to tell you. So when you get to Trade with UFOs /TradingView, okay? So when you get to Trade with UFOs /TradingView, and you get your basic plan that gives you access to a free username, if you don't have it yet, okay? What I would like you to do once you have done that, okay, another thing that may help you as well is that you go to Tradictive, okay, click on ideas published, okay, because this is just as well, these ideas published, don't get me wrong, those ideas published, let me click on them. So every single day we are publishing potential Forex trades, okay, in here. Those trades can be taken with whatever broker you use, okay? And they are here. You can click on them. You have a picture of the chart when you click on it. Okay, it's taking a while to load. You can scroll down. You have a little bit of an explanation of how you could execute, okay? But now, you got boosting options here. Higher time frame moving averages or Fibonacci retracements coinciding with the price. Okay, well, when we put those trades in here, we are not watching any of these. We are just putting it out of an initial reference. Okay, this is for beginning users. This is probably for traders that have not spent much time with us in the YouTube sessions, in the get-together sessions. Okay, so this is quite basic, probably much basic than what you do yourself already attending our sessions. But at the same time, it could serve as a reference, especially because we do little Forex in our get-together sessions. So here you have some Forex material in case you didn't know, okay? And basically this is kind of like, just like we have your YouTube channel, we also have the TradingView channel here, okay? So you can click on like, follow. If you follow it every time, which is every day, every time we publish, those trades, you get an alert, and you can come in here, take a look, okay, etc., etc. Okay, so I think I never made you aware of this existed. Even though some of you may have seen it before, but now you all know, okay? And coming back to the get-together sessions, so one more thing. So we get into TradingView, into tradewithufos.com. Click on Get Together. So when you click on Get Together, you can see that the next sharpening sessions will take place May 18, that is next Saturday. It will be 11 a.m. just like today, exactly the same. So now you know, next Saturday we will continue with Q&A. If you wish to send your questions, we'll have them written before the session start. That will be greatly helpful. If you don't want to send them, it's okay. You will be able to ask them here. And that's it. Okay, now no calibration next weekend. Therefore, next weekend is all about questions about UFOs or questions about trading not related to UFOs, forex, futures, options, risk management, you name it, whatever, psychology, you name it. Okay, so my friends, that's it. Now I will close the session. It's been a super pleasure, guys, super excited, guys, to be working on this together, all together here in the sessions, guys. I'm super excited to see your growth. So keep up the good work and see you next week. Bye bye, my friends. Take care.